Also with the lighting, we had a problem with the camera because it wouldn't, at night time it wouldn't take any of the figures, so you couldn't see anything. So we realised we had to, because we learned that from when we were experimenting with the camera, and so we realised we had to shoot all the scenes during daylight, which is not a conventional lighting for a thriller. So what we did is we experimented with the different lighting effects on Final Cut Pro, and we found Luma Kia, which created a more dusky and dark lighting tone, which is a conventional use, so Final Cut Pro helped us define that. With the camera for filming, we used a Lumix camera DNZ F238, and we had to use a screen ratio of 4:3 because when we would premiere our trailer, the trailer would stretch if we didn't have that ratio. So in order to keep it professional, we needed that ratio. Also, the lens is HD, so therefore it gave the trailer a professional look rather than just having a normal digital camera, which would have more of that fuzzy look. I use Photoshop for my construction, or my poster on the website. The effects I had from that I looked on YouTube, I found all these different skills like color masks, which advanced my skills, and I got to manipulate pictures by finding brightening effects for your eyes, brightening effects for your teeth to create more of that professional look. Also, I began to use some of the tools from the videos, from the YouTube effect videos, and I would, again before, I would blend them in, blend them together. For example, they used a Gaussian effect for the smoke effects, which would blur the smoke more into the background. But obviously I wasn't going to use, like I said before, I didn't use all of those effects. So instead I realised I could use that Gaussian blur effect for the actor's skin, so it could create more smoothness, and you would have that professionalism and more high definition into the pictures. For my construction, for my website, I use Dreamweaver. Usually when I was analysing websites, when you click on a button, like the Facebook icon, I usually thought it was a button, but I've learned from Dreamweaver, you can do hotspots, so you can actually have a picture on your background and then just click a hotspot and it will take you to a different link. I also added my trailer, and also a conventional aspect for buttons on websites is a rollover button, so it highlights when you hover over it, and that's what Dreamweaver had, so I was able to create that level of professionalism with Dreamweaver. For evaluation stages, for two of my evaluations, for example this one, I'm using Prezi, and I've used this because it's more presentable and it has more of a dynamic way of presenting, such as the transitions from moving from one to the next, like this, for example. Moving from there to there. It's much more engaging to the viewers and the audience that I'm presenting my presentation to, rather than just me clicking a button and it moving side by side together. Also, it has backgrounds that are more presentable and are more related to what you want to show. Like I don't have block colours here, like you can see here. I've used a stepping stone background, which is more relevant to the evaluation stages because the whole point is you're showing your progress from the beginning stages of this A2 course to the evaluation stages. So stepping stones was more relevant and again more engaging for my viewers when I present my presentation. I used Microsoft for planning and research. I used Microsoft Word for analysing because I only needed basic tools and such as arrows and text boxes and I just have to put the picture in the center and just analyze the picture. So I only needed simple tools, so that's why I use Microsoft Word. And for Microsoft PowerPoint, it's good for presenting. For example, I presented my drafts on them. So instead of putting all my different drafts, I had several drafts for my poster. Instead of me uploading them all to my blog, and it's really messy, and you've just got text underneath, and you've got the same poster just kind of gradually going. You just have it all on one file, which I thought Microsoft PowerPoint was best for, and it helped me. It was more accessible to read, and because it's on one file, I just had to go back to it and evaluate the stages I've gone through and what I need to improve on. So I think it was much better. I also used Issue and SlideShare. I put all my Word documents on them. Just like Prezi, Issue and SlideShare make more of a professional and presentable look. Like Issue has this book effect, so it's not just Microsoft Word, which I said before was more basic, which I use for basic stuff. But this is more presentable to have more of this book type of look or effect. And for SlideShare, it was much more easy to navigate with, because you just had to flip through the buttons instead of having to use a keyboard. But because it had buttons, it created more of that digital look. And finally, I used Blogger for everything, basically the whole course. I used Blogger as a medium to access all my work. And I used Weebly in AS. I didn't use Blogger, I used Weebly. And I found it much more harder to work with and to navigate and to upload documents. But Blogger I found much more easier, and you also have a menu bar, so it's much more presentable. You have all the different dates, all the different documents that you've uploaded. But also, the whole point of me using my blog is to blog. And with Weebly, I had to use text boxes, I had to put them in the correct places when I wanted to blog. This is much easier because I just type something and I blog, just like Facebook when I want to write a status. So this was much more convenient. And you can have very dynamic, you can have different backgrounds. Like previous courses I've used a film background, or this one I've used kind of a set background to go with trailers. So again, it makes it much more interesting.